All right, in this demo, I'm going to show you how to secure LLM access, and we're going to do this with no-code authentication. Imagine a scenario where a developer is asked to leverage ChatGPT and other LLMs. In this case, I'm using Anthropic's Claude. I have a couple functions that I've written, and the first thing it says is, what do you want to ask Claude and chat? So I'm going to ask it a question. In this case, what is the capital of Washington? And it's going to go out and make the calls and produce some output, and then I'll show you how this was done. So you can see I have output from both of them. The first one is from Claude, the second was from ChatGPT. Now let's take a look at the code that we've written. Now here you can see it's pretty simple. I have two functions. The first one is get Anthropic response. Second one is OpenAI response. And one of the things that you'll notice is in the headers, there isn't any authentication. So the first call to Anthropic API and the second call to OpenAI, there isn't any header information. The header information gets injected, and this is going to get injected only if it's coming from the correct client workload, and I'll show you that configuration in a second. What this should look like is the following, and here you can see the code in the original calls has authentication in the headers. Here's the one for OpenAI, and here's the one for Anthropic. But in the code, the developers do not need to worry about that. So now let's log into the admin console and see how this was done. Okay, first let's look at server workloads. So I've created server workload for Claude, Anthropic, for OpenAI, ChatGPT. I'm also working on Gemini, Bard, but I've created a server workload for all of these. And if we look at an example here, it's basically pointing to api.anthropic.com. And then for OpenAI, it's just api.openai.com. And we also have the client workload. Now everything's running on a Kubernetes pod on my system. But then I create two policies. I have one for OpenAI and I have one for Claude. And we can add as many of these as we want. And as a developer, I no longer have to worry about what I need to do in terms of authentication. If my application workload is configured to be the client workload, I can then use Aembit to inject everything. And all I have to really worry about is writing code. This keeps the organization secure because we know exactly where the API calls are coming from and inject the credentials as needed. Thank you.